my name is Christine Ramroop, and I will be discussing some of the concepts and topics we learned in Education 311 this semester. I will be covering aspects of diversity, how educators can avoid microaggressions in the classroom, and will be closing this video with an overall reflection of the class combined with two of my favorite assignments completed. First, I would like to touch on diversity, what it means to me, and if I consider myself diverse or not. I believe diversity refers to the different cultures, races, religions, and genders all in one place. This does not mean one group, one class, one race, or one religion in a setting, but multiple mixed together. Secondly, diversity to me means cultural awareness and acceptance. Diversity is a good thing that some people often overlook. To add on, it can really impact a classroom and a student's everyday life in and outside the classroom. Lastly, I do consider myself diverse since I come from parents with two different backgrounds. My mother is a white American and my father is a West Indian Trinidadian. Growing up, I was exposed to American and Indian cultures. However, I can be more diverse and it would be extremely beneficial since I have not encountered and learned about all the religions, cultures, and traditions, as well as beliefs. The world has so much to offer, and increasing my diversity can benefit me as an educator and my students. A microaggression is an inappropriate comment that lacks cultural responsibility. Unfortunately, microaggressions are present amongst children, especially in elementary school years. As an educator, I can avoid microaggression in the classroom by using 8 tips and strategies that I came up with. Number 1, expose students to multiple people and environments. This will ensure that my students become more open-minded and visually see differences in our world. Number 2, cultural parties that tie into learning. Yes, parties are fun and every teacher wants to be sure that his or her students love school, but tying in historical elements and actually creating lesson plans that teach students the importance of cultural parties so that they understand what they are actually celebrating instead of just having a party. Number 3, have discussions on race, ethnicity, and cultures. Keep it appropriate amongst your students, but it's important to note that there are differences in society and it's okay to be different. Class discussions are a great way to allow students to express their feelings and thoughts. Teachers will be able to encourage self-reflections, and students learn the importance of helping and hearing others out. Number 4, use multicultural textbooks. Incorporating diverse textbooks is crucial. Students will be able to relate to more than just the characters, but it will also boost their self-esteem. They will also be eager to strive for their goals since they see people from similar backgrounds doing the accomplishments they want to achieve. Number 5, implement lessons about racism and how to combat that issue in life. This is crucial for teachers. Everyone experiences racism, but it's 2 different levels of degrees. Teachers need to be sure that they teach their children how to respond to racism in our world and what the best way is to handle that. Number 6, teach students about social justice. Number 7, raise awareness about other cultures. And lastly, number 8, practice kindness and acceptance, which can cause students to be more open-minded and more understanding in society. Two of my favorite assignments this semester was when we focused on multicultural education and determining biases in textbooks. While I was writing my Impacting My Classroom paper, I wrote about how multicultural education will impact my classroom in a positive way that will be remembered for each and every one of my students. It will teach my students about the importance of diversity without them even realizing the amount of exposure and experiences they will be able to retain. Exposing my students to new cultures and traditions will cause them to be more open-minded and accepting. In addition, I wrote about how multicultural education will also decrease the amount of stereotypes said in my classroom. In my paper, I touched on the importance of differentiated instruction. As a teacher, it's my job to be sure that I'm meeting the needs of my students since it can promote learning and they will have a better outlook on school. Failing to accommodate to my students' needs can cause frustration and a negative attitude in the school and towards myself. Although differentiated instruction is related to multicultural education, I researched and I found out that it primarily focuses on ensuring that each student gets an appropriate education. While doing my research and this project, I learned a lot about cultural competence, since it increases diversity and awareness in a whole. In addition, it would strengthen the way my students communicate within their interpersonal relationships. So I told myself, if diversity is increasing, so does the need of informing the youth about it. As a teacher, contributing and expanding my students' knowledge about culture allows them to know more about themselves and others. My students will be able to use what is learned in class and apply it to the real world. Last but not least, I really enjoyed our assignments about determining biases in textbooks. It really opened my eye on how biased the textbooks our students use and read can be. It really allowed me to research when textbooks started to become more multicultural. According to my research, textbooks are now becoming more multicultural than ever. I also learned about how these textbooks can negatively impact students and the damaging effect it can have on our youth. As an educator, I learned how crucial the importance is of how stories and textbooks reflect the aspects of diversity. To end this presentation, I wanted to reflect on the overall class. Before taking this class, I always knew how important diversity was. But while taking the class, I learned so much more about diversity and that there were so many branches to diversity. And it doesn't just relate to race. I learned that diversity relates to the classroom, society, and everyday life. I gained so much knowledge that will benefit me as a first-year teacher and all throughout my career.